Now, a lot of times in sports, and especially on shows like this, SOS Discussion, we like to discuss who is the greatest of all time. And I love to make that comparison. You know, in different eras, when it comes to different sports leagues, we're always like, man, we can't really say because they're in different eras. If Michael Jordan could have played LeBron and he beat him at 40 years old while LeBron was 30, I wouldn't be able to make a case for LeBron to be the GOAT. This weekend, we got Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. Y'all tell me what this means for Aaron Rodgers' legacy and his position on the GOAT rankings.
Well, I think that, honestly, this had to knock Aaron Rodgers down. I think he had a grace period for so long, with him winning the Super Bowl in his third season and, just not being able to get back after that and then losing 4 straight NFC championship games. I think because we know what Aaron Rodgers represents, we see the talent, you see the career passer rating, the crazy interception to touchdown ratio. I think he has over 400 touchdowns and still hasn't thrown 100 picks in his career. Like I said, we know what Aaron Rodgers represents. But for the last 10 years, we've been blaming the defense. And of course, he did have some historically horrible defenses in the playoffs. But we've been blaming the defense. And then it was Mike McCarthy. And just Aaron Rodgers has never had enough. And then it was, they don't draft receivers in the first round. But I think that grace period for Aaron Rodgers is over. And now we're looking at it as a quarterback with your talent. You've had enough around you you haven't gotten back to a Super Bowl since, it's been over 10 years, and you have 4 straight NFC championship games. If you're one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you can't lose 4 straight NFC championships to 4 quarterbacks who I don't think are on, obviously Tom Brady. So I'll say 3 quarterbacks that aren't on Aaron Rodgers' level. So I definitely think we have to look at him a little differently. Obviously, he's still tier 1. Obviously, he's still one of the greatest of all time. But what he's had around him, the systems that he's had in place, the support system he's had in place, for him to still only have 1 Super Bowl appearance at 38 years old, I think that grace period is ended, and it's time we look at Aaron Rodgers and say that he hasn't accomplished enough in his career. He hasn't accomplished as much as he should have in his career.
I'll say this. I think that the legacy, when we're talking about the legacy of Aaron Rodgers, as of right now, I don't think it's any different than what it should have been. I think that sometimes you need to see one more thing to maybe shock yourself into reality. But at the end of the day, he was 1-3 in NFC Championship games before this. And this was a loss to the best quarterback he had ever lost to, like John said. I think that when you look at his legacy, this is where it should be. He's a guy who deserves the same amount of flack, and we talked about this in pre-production. And people I know when I say people, I'm talking about John. John not gonna like when I say this, man, but I think he deserves to get the same amount of flack that Drew Brees gets right now, and I think the same amount of flack that Peyton Manning was getting before his last season. At the end of the day, that second championship to the great quarterbacks means so much. Not to say you can't be a great, because you look at Dan Marino, he doesn't have his one. But at the end of the day, that second championship puts you in another tier. Look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has went 1 and done 9 times in the playoffs. He's had countless exits where it's like, man, people are talking about his playoff lack of success. But then he won his second Super Bowl, and it's almost as if all of those things have been erased now because he has number 2. And the reason I'm gonna say this about Aaron Rodgers, he's right where he should be. He got 1 Super Bowl. He hasn't had the greatest playoff success. We're gonna talk about that. But he has a good amount of time left in his career. And if he can get to 2, or if he can win 2, his number 2, because Peyton Manning went to 4 Super Bowls and lost in 2 of them. If Aaron Rodgers can win his second Super Bowl, 1-4 or 2-4, if that's what he ends up as, it's not gonna matter because he'll have 2 rings. So I'm not so ready to say that it's really killed his legacy, because his legacy still has time to grow and shape. He hasn't retired yet.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that I'm not writing Aaron Rodgers off, right? I still feel that he is a top 5 quarterback in this league. He's still one of the greatest all time when it's all said and done. He will be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think this does put a stain on his legacy just because of the way that he choked, as people would say, in this game, and it was against the caliber of a quarterback that Tom Brady is. So for that reason, he does have a stain. And then you look at his 11-8 playoff record and the quarterbacks that he has lost to along the way. It does put a stain there. But as Darian was saying, Aaron Rodgers still has time left in this league to get ring number 2 and still has time left to redeem himself from this playoff loss.
And I'm going to say this, don't get it twisted, y'all. Aaron Rodgers is a phenomenal talent. But his record is his record. And like both of my co-hosts were saying, it's time to talk about that because he is not exempt from being talked about negatively. And I think for a long time, we've been enamored with what he could do. And for that reason, we kind of exempted him from any kind of criticism because it's, Aaron Rodgers does things that nobody could do. Well, he needs to do something that a couple other quarterbacks have done, and that's win a second ring.
And since his Super Bowl appearance, he's 7-8 in the playoffs. And quarterback of his caliber, that's not good enough. And like I said, it's time that we start talking about that. He's had a grace period for too long. He's too great to have a 1-4 record in the NFC Championship games and a 7-8 record since the Super Bowl. It's not going to cut it.
And he should have won this game. So I'm just gonna say that. I think they
definitely winnable. Yeah.
I think they should have won this game. But carry on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jamar.
Regardless of your skill set, to be the GOAT, you have to do great things, and that's what we're looking for when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. And regardless with the way you looked at Rodgers' legacy when it comes to his career as a whole and last game, you're going to be looking at this game versus Tom Brady as the one where you can come to in that argument. So you tell us what that game did to your argument for Aaron Rodgers, and you tell us what you just think about the GOAT in football is in general in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe. We'll see y'all next time in SOS Discussion.